Hey guys, and welcome to another very exciting video, this time about how to effectively scale your Facebook ads. And this is a really crucial topic, especially if most of your traffic or even all of it comes directly from Facebook. So if you completely rely on Facebook as an advertising channel, then this is really important for you to understand, to not waste money or to make less profits with your Facebook ad. So I recommend to watch the whole video. I'm not sure how long it will take in the end, but I will show you two different situations of ad scaling, and I will start with the first now, which is when you, let's say, spend $10 a day on Facebook and your ad is really converting and profitable. You want to scale it up, so you want your ad to reach more people per day. And if you do something like this, then it's really important to know that you shouldn't scale too aggressively. So if you have a $10 a day campaign, and it turns out to be profitable, so after, let's say, 7 or 5 days, you have some purchases already, you have a lot of add to carts, you have a lot of link clicks, people seem to be interested in your ad, you have a low cost per click, a low cost per acquisition, then you might want to scale this ad. And there are two things that you should keep in mind when scaling an ad. First of all is you should have tested the ad for a while before you scale it. So after 1 or 2 days, just because you made some good results doesn't mean that you should scale the ad immediately, because there can be a lot of factors that are not representative for your ads. So if you make money on the first day with your ad, doesn't mean that the audience is completely targeted and really suitable for your product. So you might want to wait at least 2 or 3 days and see whether the audience is really converting and whether the audience is really good, or whether you were just, let's say, lucky in the first day or something like this. And the second thing is that you shouldn't scale too aggressively, and this is really important. So if you have a winning ad with, let's say, $10 a day, you shouldn't scale up to 100 a day from one day to another just because you had success with the ad, because the Facebook algorithm gets a little confused if you scale too aggressively. Plus, there's way more it's way more risk involved if you go from 10 a day to 100 a day without having enough data about your real audience. So again, like I said before, just because you had success with one ad and with one specific amount of money doesn't mean that you will have like 10 times the amount of success with a 10 times increased ad budget. So my recommendation is to gradually increase the ad budget from, let's say, 10 to 20 in one day, from 20 to 30 or 35 or 40 in another day, and then slowly scale up. And this way you can really test if your audience works, if your store converts and stuff like this. So if you just go from 10 to 200 or from 10 to 100, you may miss a lot of data, because let's say you have a cost of $2 or $5 per acquisition on day one, and then you scale to 100 per day, and suddenly your cost per acquisition goes up to 30 or 20 or something like this. This means your ad became not very effective, and to avoid that, you should gradually change so that you should gradually increase your budget so that you can change your ad or other things all the time. Because if you increase your budget too aggressively, then there may be a lot of things that you miss when it comes to reduced profits, increased costs, and other difficulties inside the ad. So always scale slowly and continuously. Of course, you don't have to go from 10 to 12 to 15 to 20, but at least don't go over 100 or 200%, as long as you're not 100% sure in what you're doing. I know a lot of Facebook experts who recommend also the same thing and who made the same experiences, spending several hundreds or thousands a day on Facebook. So this is really something that you should keep in mind. Now, the second thing when it comes to scaling is the more interesting one and the more important one, actually, because all Facebook ads at some point in time reach ad fatigue. So this means any audience that there is at some point gets less effective or not effective at all. So if I go here in Audience Insights tab and, for example, look for I don't know what could be a possible niche. Let's say all these guys going for these Buddha bracelets and stuff like this. So I didn't target this before, so I actually have no clue what makes sense here. But yeah, let's say you have this Gautama Buddha thing, and actually this is a pretty bad example because the audience is quite big, but this basically works for anything. So let's say you have this audience, 3 million to 3.5 million people, and you spend, let's say, $100 a day, and at some point in time, since this audience is pretty big, it will take a while, but usually your audience is smaller, like 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, maybe 1 million people. And at some point in time, if your ad is effective and if you spend enough money per day, your ad will reach fatigue. And this means that at some point in time you reached all the people inside your audience that are interested in your product, and now you only show your ad to these people who are not interested in it. So let's say out of these 3 million people, you had, let's give some really unrealistic numbers, you had 100,000 sales or 50,000 sales, you had 300,000 link clicks. Like I said, really unrealistic, but just to show you what I mean, you had 300,000 link clicks, and the rest of the people are just seeing your ad all the time, but they don't really react and they don't really click. So this is the point where the ad frequency comes into play. I will show you here. I'm not sure whether the frequency makes any sense in this ad, but let's go for the customized columns and search for frequency. And frequency basically shows how often your ad was shown to each person in your audience. So in this case, since the ad was absolutely not fatigued and what absolutely not in its end stage, frequency is 1. So that means that on average, any person in my audience saw this ad only once. But after a certain period of time, like after a few weeks or maybe even after a few months, if your audience is really big, this will go up to 1.5, 2, 3, 4. And this is the point where ad fatigue kicks in, because the people who are really interested in your ad and in your more interested in your product or your store may have clicked it already and may have even bought something, and the only people left in your audience are these that are maybe completely not interested in your product. So you may have targeted some broad interests like I don't know, bracelets or Buddha, like in this case now, and all the people who are interested in what you sell have clicked your website at some point of time, and at some point in time have added something to cart, had a look at the product, or even made a purchase. But at least 95% of your audience doesn't care about it, and you keep showing your ad to these people even though they don't care. So you are basically spending money all the time, every day, but your results get lower and lower and lower. And this is the point in time where you should scale and where you should move on to another audience to not waste money. And I will just quickly demonstrate you this process with my using my awesome paint drawing skills. So usually it looks like this. Let's say this is the amount of money you spend on Facebook. Let's say you scale up all the time. So it starts somewhere here at $5 or $10, I don't know. And you scale. Maybe at some point you don't scale anymore, and maybe at some point you even reduce the amount you spend. And this is the amount of profit that you make off your ads. So usually it starts here, and let's say this is the turnover you make from the ads. So it starts somewhere here. In the beginning you don't make any money, then you make a little, and at some point you make more than you spend on your ads, and it goes up and up and up. Okay, this looks really bad now. And when ad fatigue kicks in, so let's say here, this is the point where ad fatigue kicks in and where people generally lose interest, because you sorted all the people who are interested in your product, you sorted them out already. They all the people who clicked your website and who bought something and who added to cart are sorted out, and your ad now shows to a lot of people who don't care about it. And this is the point where frequency goes up. More and more people see your ad over and over again without having the intent to click. And this is the point here where you should move on to another audience, because you're basically wasting money. So you should still keep retargeting those people who are interested, so you can make a custom audience of all these people who clicked your website, who bought something, who added something to cart. You should keep them in a custom audience and continue retargeting them, at least those who didn't buy, but all the others who saw your ad like 3, 4, 5 times but still didn't buy, you should just throw them away and go on with another audience. And this is really important, to not lose money all the time with your Facebook ad. And one way to do this is to use audience insights, and then you have your custom audience where you have all these people who clicked, bought, added to cart and everything. You can also make different custom audiences for each of these scenarios, and then you put them here. So right now in this ad account I don't have any really fitting audiences, so I don't really show you, this makes no sense, but you put them in here, and then you see the interests and the page likes of these people. So let's say your custom audience has a size of 10,000 people then, or 100,000 people. If your ad was showing for a very long period of time, you may have 100,000 link clicks after all. And then this shows 100,000 or maybe 40,000 monthly active people, and you can really see what the people that went to your site were interested in. So let's say this is your custom audience here, and they were interested in this and Buddha's herbs and doodles and I don't know. So you understand what your audience is into, so what the people that really bought or clicked or added to cart are into. And based on this people, you can either target other interests. So if this is your custom audience now, you may know, oh, they have something in common. They really are into this Buddha Groove website. So I may start a new ad by using this Buddha Groove and target to these people. Of course, ad fatigue is very low. There may be people. Of course, there are people inside your new audience then, which were also in your old audience, but the majority of people is new. So this is a way to make a new ad and to scale it up and to go along with a new audience to become profitable again. And another way, of course, is to just create a lookalike audience. So you're going to audiences here, and then you simply create a lookalike audience based on the people that were in your custom audience. So inside the people who clicked, bought, added to cart, and so on. When you create a lookalike audience, you should keep it to the country that your original audience was in. So if you have a custom audience based on people in the US who are interested in your site, you should create a lookalike audience which is also in the US, so that the algorithm is most effective. And you can also exclude certain things then in this lookalike audience, or add certain interests to make sure that it is really targeted to your store and to your product. And doing this, you are able to create a new audience based on the interests of your old audience, but having an audience that is not saturated. So your old audience is saturated, you don't need it anymore. At some point in time, you should pause the ad. Never delete an ad, because it always has valuable information, but you should pause the ad, create a new one, and then start making money off this ad again for your product until fatigue kicks in this ad, and then create a new one. So this is the process how I usually scale up. I'm sorry that I couldn't show you all the things in detail now, because this ad account is pretty shit, and my other one that seemed to not work right now. So I tested it and there was something going wrong. I don't know. I have to check it again tomorrow. But so this is a possible way to identify new audiences. Also think about the first part where it comes to scaling up regarding budget, but the second part of scaling to new audiences is even more important in my opinion. So I hope this was helpful for you. If you need any more Facebook ad tutorials, just tell me. I will also make one about custom audiences and lookalike audiences only. If you have any questions, just ask, and then see you next time, and good luck with your ads in your store.